This week's sponsor is none other than Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, this is very important for many people starting off. Anchor is completely free. There are no fees for hosting whatsoever. There are in the app and also on the website, there are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. That makes things so much easier. If you don't have any professional equipment, or even if you do, you can just on the go change something quick. We have done that many times, and it makes things so much easier if you realize you accidentally did something that you need to change quickly. It is amazing. Another amazing bonus, something that is really, really helpful, Anchor will distribute your podcast for you. You don't need to deal with the RSS feed at all. It will, on its own, upload it to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many, many more. This is completely automatic and you have nothing to do with it. It does it for you. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Many other platforms have a minimum listenership where only if you have this amount of listeners per episode, only then it will allow you to make money from it. Anchor, the second you have one listener, you already start making money, and that is very helpful for many people. It is everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Within Zionism. Here with your hosts, Ozzy Fine, Moshe Schwartzberg. How are you, Moshe?
I am doing amazing. This is actually our second take of this episode, because the first time I tried doing it alone while Ozzy was on vacation. I had a little fun there. I put some little jokes of like Ozzy not being there. But we decided, let's do this right. Let's do this with both of us.
Another reason that I am recording with you now on Friday and we're releasing this Sunday, so we really have to speed this up.
Yes, I actually thought that someone from Lebanon, I called it Lebanonian. And only after I recorded like a day later, I found out it's Lebanese. So sorry about that. That was special.
Yeah, so let's record it right now.
Yeah, it's Lebanese. For any of you who are like me and did not know that.
All right, let's get into it.
Okay, so yeah, in this episode, we'll be talking about what Seth Rogan said on the popular WTF podcast. We'll get into that. And the crazy explosion in Beirut. If you haven't heard about that, then where have you been? And we'll get to that soon. Let's get into it, shall we?
Yeah.
Okay, so as I said, Seth Rogan was on Mark Marone's, I think that's how you pronounce his name, popular podcast called the WTF podcast. In it, they were talking for about an hour, give or take, about their Jewish upbringing in out of Israel. So in it, Seth Rogan said that he grew up believing many things that were just straight out lies about Israel. One of them, he said, was that Israel was created without displacing thousands of Palestinians. So that is not true. I don't know what history class he was taught, but if you listen in history class, which we totally did, shout out to our history teacher if you're listening to this, they do teach you that.
We already gave her a few shout outs.
Yeah, she's an amazing teacher. They do mention that. They very much do mention that we were not just here. He continued and said, as a Jewish person, I was fed a huge amount of lies, as I said. So then he basically, we're not going to read everything that he said because there's a curse word in it. But basically, he's like, they teach you things about Israel that like are just straight out lies. As I said, that he says as if the door was just open in Israel. And there was no one here before you. So if you are new here, welcome. It's good to have you. Go check out our earlier episodes about history. I think we have 3 or 4 history episodes. Go check them out. We talk about that. He then says that Israel is meant for the preservation of the Jewish people. And he claims you don't keep everything you're trying to preserve in one place. So Ozzy, do you agree that Israel as a state is not meant to preserve the Jewish people? I agree that we're trying to not recreate, but we're trying to revive the Jewish culture. That's for sure. Because before Israel was created, you had, oh, you're speaking German, you're Polish, you're Russian, you're Spanish, you're whatever. Now we all speak Hebrew. So we're reviving the Jewish culture, but we're not preserving the Jewish people. That is just that we were preserving the Jewish people outside of Israel
I
also.
don't think Israel as a Jewish state has anything to do with preserving the Jewish people. I don't think that's what the goal is, but it definitely comes along with it. I think it's just a bonus, but I don't think that's like the main focus on Jews should be in Israel for preservation. I don't think that's like what people say.
For sure, in Israel you're a lot safer than in any other country for a Jew. But that doesn't mean we're here to preserve the Jewish people.
Right. Like the Jews being in Israel is just like we always say that. I mean, that's what this podcast is about, Zionism. And that's like the Jews should be in Israel because this is where we came from. This is where our history is. This is what our ancestors fought for. I can go on, but we're not going to right now. But it's not about preservation. That's not what the focus of Israel is. It's just a bonus that comes along with it.
Yeah. So we're not going to go into everything that he said because that will mean we have to do over an hour-long podcast. And one of our selling points is we try to keep it under 20 minutes. We've only had one episode that's over, but the rest of them are under 20 minutes. So that's good. But if you want to get a more in-depth of what Seth and Mark said and, well, someone talking about it, you can check it out. I think it's also on YouTube, for sure on Instagram. Rudy Rachman posted a very amazing video. He went through everything, so go check that out. So after that podcast, Seth Rogan was getting a whole bunch of backlash online, as he is a Jew, which I don't think we mentioned that. He's a Jewish comedian, and people did not like
An
that.
actor.
And an actor, right. And people did not like that, what he said about Israel. So he then, which is better than an apology, because I've mentioned before I don't like just a plain apology and moving on. So he actually called out anti-Semitism in Hollywood. He challenged the anti-Semitic claim that Hollywood is controlled by Jewish people. You have probably heard this many times, that Jews basically control the world. Wait, hold on. Does that make us the Illuminati?
We're not getting into that.
Okay. Okay, fine. So
Another episode. We'll
in another
discuss
episode.
if the Jews are Illuminati.
That'll be a fun episode. So he says that Seth Rogen was quoted on Haaretz. I know for a fact that anti-Semitic people also do thrive in Hollywood, so the notion that Jews controlled the careers of everyone in Hollywood is wildly incorrect. That statement kind of does work, and I feel like I've said that also many times to anti-Semitic people online, that yeah, if Jews really did control everything in the world, we wouldn't have any anti-Semitism in the world, because we don't like anti-Semitism. Why would we keep it around? The fact that anti-Semitic people thrive in Hollywood shows that Jews don't actually control Hollywood.
Right. So I want to share two thoughts on this whole Seth Rogen thing. So first of all, when from the beginning, we mentioned that he said that he was fed a huge amount of lies as a Jew. Like, if he knows their lies, he knows what were lies and what weren't. So why couldn't he educate himself instead of just going against Jews, and against Israel, and like he went against all of it. Like, maybe it was like rebelling or whatever, but so after everything, right? So in the beginning, I disagree with his approach at it, and I think it was wrong what he did and what he said, and I always say, like, people with such high, following, and such a big following, and so many people are gonna hear what he says. They need to be careful with what they say, because you see in this situation, he says one sentence and everyone hears about it. And this is a negative thing that he says, and that's really bad. And he's saying it from his perspective, which is okay, but he's also mentioning that he knows that they're lies. So he should have, educated himself before saying it. That's first. Second, one thing I do like, a lot of people on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, everything were trying to get in touch with Seth about this thing, and everyone was trying to educate him. And he actually spoke with a lot of people, and a lot of people were posting like, oh, I took down my last tweet because I ended up talking to Seth and we worked it out and he understands this. And like, I saw a lot of tweets about that. So, his first thing and everything that happened in the beginning, I very strongly disagree with, and it was really bad and, whatever. But the way he reacted, and he knew it was wrong, and he actually ended up educating himself, and I think that's amazing, and it's really cool. And, thank you to everybody who tried to get in touch with him and everyone who tried to educate him.
Yeah, and ladies and gentlemen, listeners of all ages, this is why we have two people on this podcast, so we can have an actual conversation. Because when I did it alone, it wasn't the same. So it's good to have you back, Ozzy. Okay, so for our main story for tonight, we've got the explosion that happened in Beirut. For those of you who don't know, Beirut is the capital of Lebanon. So just a few dry facts.
Wait, Moshe, hold on. Who lives in Lebanon?
Lebanese people.
Not Lebanonian.
No, not Lebanonian people.
Okay, moving on.
Okay, so in the afternoon of August 4th, I don't remember exactly when it happened, which is a few days ago now and a few extra days when you guys actually listen to this. So the stats might be a bit different, so we'll give generally what's happening now. What they currently think, and we'll go into this in a minute, what they currently think happened, according to a Lebanese government official, they were in a warehouse, there were some fireworks being stored, and they exploded. For whatever reason, I don't know right now. That led to a lot of other explosives that were, according to that government official, were confiscated from a ship a few years ago, and they also exploded. He didn't explain what, why, or anything else, but he said they confiscated the explosives. That was it. It's a bit fishy, but we're not getting into that. So that's what they currently think. Could be that by the time you listen to this, it'll be a bit different, so don't get into the facts. That's not what we're here for. Those are just the general what's happening now. We might update over Instagram, so go follow us there. At the time of researching this, and more or less currently now, there are over 100 people who were killed in the explosion, over 4,000 who were injured, and many, many still uncalled for. I hope you can agree with this, but we here at Within Zionism stand and are sorry for the families that their loved ones have been affected by this, and we hope that everything gets solved as soon as possible. And let's hope life can go back, but with 2020.
100%. I mean, I would stand with anyone who lost a family member or anything. That's tragic, no matter enemy or not. Somebody dies, like, that's sad. So
yeah, for sure.
That doesn't even have to be said.
So a few hours after the explosion, Israel put out an official statement to the Lebanese government saying that they will give humanitarian aid during this crisis, which should not be surprising to anyone. Israel is a very humanitarian country and gives aid to everyone. This happened many times the past few years, so just Google it and you'll figure out more. We've got Brazil, we've got Gaza, there's many times. So a few things that people are saying that the main thing is they're blaming Israel for this. Now, several Lebanese government officials have claimed and stated online and on TV that Israel has nothing to do with this. One government official even said that, and I more or less quote, so this is translated from Arabic to Hebrew to English, that we thought that Israel were the ones trying to kill us. Turns out it was you who's talking to the government. Yeah, I think it's amazing that Israel is giving aid to someone who even now, or earlier today, or yesterday, or a week ago, has been attacking us with Hezbollah. Now we're giving them aid at a time of crisis. I think that's an amazing thing that Israel does, and I fully support it.
Okay, that wraps up today's episode of Within Zionism. And Moshe, you can go over our social media now.
Yeah, so first, before that, you can find all of our sources for this episode and previous episodes on our website, the Learn More button. If that button doesn't work, we are sorry. We're fixing that as soon as we can. But you can find it on our old website. Hopefully, by the time you get to that, the button will work. As I've said many times, you can follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. And, by the way, we have a new website, which is why that button might not work, which is with a lot easier of a domain, wzionism.com. That's wzionism.com. That is our new website, so go check that out. Please subscribe to us wherever you listen to podcasts. Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple, wherever. Leave a comment, a review, and give us a share. Also, as we've said many times, don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Go follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And if you're a sponsor, contact us using our website. Just throwing that out there. So yeah, that's it for this week's episode. Thanks for being with us.
And stay safe and have a great day.